This is the Trade Machine Podcast. My name is Alex Sons. I'm here with the co-hosts, Hunter. Hunter, what's going on?
What's up?
And Rich, what's going on, man?
Much, man.
Let's get it. I'm excited. This is a special episode because we are all the way in the off season. Ain't nothing is happening. There's absolutely nothing going on. And so what we're going to do is, as we're coming up on the anniversary of probably my favorite season of the NBA that I've ever got to witness, which is the 2015-16 season. It's been 10 years. That's insane. Rich and I were seniors in high school that season.
Yeah.
And we watched so much basketball, and there was a ton of stuff that went on. We had the Warriors go 73-9. We had Kobe's last season and his last game. We had the Cavs come back from down 3-1. The Spurs went 41-1 at home that year and lost in the second round. Like, just an insane season. And so these next couple of weeks, we're going to go back and forth with our preseason predictions drafts and a series we're just calling A Decade Later, looking back at the 2015-16 season. And today, our episode is titled The DNA of a Dynasty, because 2015-16 is one of the most iconic seasons of the 21st century, particularly because the Warriors went 73-9, the greatest regular season record of all time, and subsequently they lost in the finals. We'll talk about that on another episode. But I just want to take a second to Rich, just talk to me about what you remember about watching that team, what made that team so special, and just kind of like think back to, like, we were 18 years old, 17, 18, like what was so special about watching the 2015-2016 Warriors 10 years ago before we knew the dynasty they would be?
Bro, to put it simply, bro, Steph Curry, bro. That was just there was no way of seeing that season from him, bro. Like, he hit over 400 threes. He was hitting game winner after game winner, half court shot after half court shot, and it was just, you knew it was going to be special. They started off the season 24-0. So just from that point, you kind of knew that this is kind of like the Cavs started this year. They started off hot, so they were a team like, hey, you gotta kind of watch out for this team. They were playing that small ball, and I don't think that was something the league was necessarily ready for. Not the style in which they were playing, because not everybody's gonna. People play small ball, but you don't have a Stephen Curry shooting at the clip he was, averaging 30 a game, and ended up with over 400 threes. That's just, it's an anomaly in and of itself, just from having Steph on your team. So, but I would say my favorite moment, bro. And it's a clip that I've watched. I mean, I've watched Steph Curry's threes over and over again.
I know which one it is.
You already know, bro. Clay's 37 in a quarter.
Yeah.
Like, bro, that's just, and Clay, for me, Clay tended. I mean, you it's easy to overlook Clay with Steph on his team. But I forget the stat, bro. I should have had this up, but I forget the stat. But they were looking at it was during some Warriors game. They were talking about. It was either 3-point percentage or just number of threes in the game or whatever, and it was like Steph, Clay, Steph, or something like that. And so these are the two best shooters.
Insane.
Two best shooters in the league on the same team, bro. And then Clay goes and drops 37 and a quarter, and that was, I mean, it was against the Kings, but that to get like that, bro, 37 and a quarter is not. That's not real, bro. I tried to do it in 2K, 12-minute quarters, bro.
You can't do it in 2K.
Yeah, bro. Like, that's like, how do you drop 37 and a quarter, bro, and on like 3 dribbles? But that had to be my favorite moment from that season. Even though Steph was doing what he was doing, but it just came so regular, you just expected it from Steph after a while. That game was just special because Clay was kind of making his mark as, hey, I'm here too, kind of thing. So, respect to
the Clay game. What was so special about the Clay game? He scored 60 points. He played 29 minutes. He scored 60 points in 29 minutes, and he had 11 dribbles.
Yeah.
He dribbled the ball 11 times and had 60. It's out of this world.
That was just a testament to, the gravity that Steph brings, because you can't if you got to choose one, you're going to leave Clay open. Not that he was even open for most of these shots, but if you don't have somebody on Steph like your team, then you're not getting those kind of looks, is what I'm trying to say. But you also have to capitalize on that, which he did.
Hunter, 2015-16, how old were you?
7 or 8.
Little Hunter.
That's crazy, man. And this was the year that made you fall in love with basketball. Is that right?
Probably. It's a long time ago, Alex.
Tell me what you remember about these teams, if anything. I know you remember the finals. That's the reason you're a Cavs fan.
Yeah, no, it's mainly the finals from that year, Alex. I don't remember that much from the regular season.
So the team seems pretty disappointing. If you think about it from that standpoint, the Warriors seem pretty disappointing.
Yeah, I don't know how they're a finals team, if that's how I remember it.
Okay, let's get out of here. All right, we're going to have to
I'm
move on. Here's the thing, Hunter. For this series, I love this because Hunter's always calling me old. He's telling me I'm pushing 30. We've already done this. We've already had this.
His words, not mine.
It's our best clip on socials. Is Hunter being an ass and telling me I'm pushing 30. So hopefully we don't get too much more of that. But this series gives us the opportunity to feel like the old heads who used to talk to us about what it was like watching the Bulls in the 90s. Is we get to talk to Hunter. Sit down, young man. This is what it was like watching Steph Curry in 2015. This was special stuff. Yeah, I think what was so special, we're going to talk about Steph here in just a minute, but the team as a whole, what made this team so special is I remember watching First Take, Stephen A. and Skip Bayless, and the argument being whether a team that is primarily a three-point shooting team can win the finals, which now is one of the most insane things to look back on. But at the time, that was the question. Can a team that's built around 2 3-point shooting guards win the finals? And we know now the three-point shooting boom was coming, largely because of Steph and Clay. But not only could they win one, they could build a dynasty off of one, which is special. And so what we have today is when I look at the 2015-16 Warriors, they're coming off Steph winning his first MVP in 2014-15. They had won 67 games, and they won the finals, right? Andre Iguodala wins Finals MVP because he guarded LeBron, even though LeBron's averaged like 67, 14, and 12. But
LeBron
he didn't
stopper.
Yeah, the LeBron stopper.
Right. Y'all just
but,
won.
Hey,
Y'all didn't stop.
Right. He shot 35%, so we're going to give Iggy the Finals MVP. Which, looking back,
Right.
I love Iguodala, maybe not as much as Max Kellerman, but Steph deserved that Finals MVP. And Steph ended up getting his in 2022, but if 2022 wouldn't have happened and Steph didn't have a Finals MVP, it would have just been fraudulent. Like, Steph deserved one, and he deserved it that year. But
voting stuff is stupid to me.
It's so dumb, bro. Like, in what world does Pascal Siakam deserve the Eastern Conference Finals MVP over Tyrese Halliburton?
Never, bro.
I love Siakam. I love Jaylen Brown. Tatum averaged 30, 10, and 6 in last year's conference finals and somehow didn't win the Eastern Conference Finals MVP when he averaged, that was a better stat line than what SGA just averaged in the finals. In one,
Politics,
okay, I gotta
bro.
chill, though. I gotta
Politics.
chill.
I'm already knowing, bro.
That's not what we're here about.
This is politics. That's all it is.
I'm just beating the drum for Jason Tatum. I'm going to have to for the rest of my life, I guess, unless he gets another shot.
Rest of your life?
Hunter, come on. Chill. I don't got much longer.
I wasn't even going for that. You did that one yourself. That was all you.
Hey, we the same age.
50 more years of the Tatum stuff was crazy, but
No.
I'm about to get my AARP card in the mail, Hunter. Don't you worry about it. I'm getting them discounts. But what we're going to do is, when we were looking back 10 years ago, the question is, we have not had a repeat finals champion since the Warriors. And the Warriors ended up winning 4 finals over 10 years. They won 40% of the finals over a 10-year stretch. I think it was actually over 8 years. So they won 50% of the finals from until the 2022 season. And so to me, that's a dynasty. You talk about greatness, you talk about 4 finals in that short of a time. That's the dynasty line. And what we're coming up against is a team in the Thunder in 2024, 23-24, or 24-25. Good Lord. But The Thunder team that just happened, they won 68 games. They had a young star who won his first MVP at the same age as Steph won his first MVP. And so the question we're asking is, what does it look like for the Thunder to take that same leap, to build the same foundation that the Warriors built from 14-15 to 15-16 and beyond? And are we seeing a repeat of history in that way? And I know it sounds blasphemous and it sounds crazy, but I actually, when you look at it, we are calling this the DNA of a dynasty because we've put together 4 components of what needs to be present in the DNA of a dynasty. And I'm not a scientist. I don't know how many. I know there's 3 strands of DNA, but I think there's a whole lot of other stuff. I don't even know. I don't even think it's 3, bro. I'm tripping. I'm tripping. I don't even think it's 3. But whatever.
I was gonna try and correct you, but I don't know.
You don't know either.
Chromosomes and stuff, XY, XX,
something like that.
YY,
something
all
like
that. All that.
Mitochondria, he's powerhouse.
Yeah.
Your typical, I don't know. Isaiah
nucleus,
Hartenstein.
nucleus chemistry.
Why did you just say Isaiah Hartenstein and that's it?
I don't know. I was thinking powerhouse, Isaiah Hartenstein, big man. Anyways, let's move on. And so we have 4 components. And the first component in what it takes to have the DNA of a dynasty is you need the superstar leap. It doesn't take enough to just have a superstar. All right? If you're going to have a dynasty, you need a super duper star, a Steph Curry, a guy that's going to be a top 10 to 20 player all time. And the question is, we look back at Steph Curry in 14-15 and we look at Shai Gilgeous-Alexander in 24-25. You can make a lot of arguments that Shai's 24-25 season was better than Curry's 14-15 season. But what happens is, in 2015-2016, Steph Curry has, in my opinion, the greatest offensive season that I've ever seen a player have. And so when you think about this comparison, what does it look like for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander to have the same kind of leap from 14-15 or to next year that Steph had from his first championship to the 73-9 year? Rich, you can go first.
So I'll start by saying I think some of the similarities just in what to compare SGA and Steph. Look at what the NBA is saying people should do to win games as far as analytics. Like what do they want you to do versus what nobody else is doing that you can do really well that could also get you wins. Steph's was 3-point shooting. We've never seen anybody do like that. And it's not that we haven't seen Shai do what he's doing, but his work in the mid-range, bro, and either facilitating from mid-range, getting to his spots, getting his shots, or just simply being a presence on the court in that area is something that a lot of people aren't capitalizing off of, not because people can't shoot the mid-range shot, but they can't be as efficient and as consistent as Shai was in the mid-range. It's to me, a very underrated part of the game. You look at players like Kobe, you look at players like D-Wade. They weren't big 3-point shooters, but they did make a living off of inside, that probably like 20-foot range or so.
15 to 20 footers.
Yeah, so I would say that as far as the leap that he needs to make, because as good as Steph was, somehow, I know that was a crazy season. He made 400 threes, but somehow after that, he took it to another level. I think just by doing it more. Maybe he doesn't hit 400 threes, but I think Shai's leap, what does that look like? It's kind of hard to say because I don't want to just say he needs to make more threes. He needs to shoot more threes because that's just not his game. But as good as OKC is on the defensive end, I think if he becomes that player that not only is giving you buckets when he has a ball in his hand, but is guarding your best player as well and bringing that mental element to the game, like there's nothing we can do with this guy offensively or defensively. That could be what, his leap looks like. Because it's not going to look like the same thing as this is a completely different team. This isn't the Warriors in 2015. So he's going to have to get a lot better defensively. I think he needs to up his, facilitating too. I mean, it's hard to nitpick what he did this season, bro, because he did it so well. But if you were talking about getting better, creating a dynasty, this is the moment. Next year is the moment where we need to see Shea not only dominate, bro, but kind of like what I was saying about Vic in the last episode. Like, you need to impose your will on any team, every team. I don't care if it's, I don't care if it's the Cavs. I don't care if it's this new Houston look. Like, shut down all in any and all talks of you falling off and being just a powerhouse offensively, defensively, and somebody that they just can't do anything with. Is what that would look like to me if I had to, pick something for Shea to get better at. He could do what he did again. They could win again. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I think that's why for Shea, I think this year it was already an all-time great guard season. I think it's underrated because, just because it was so recent, we don't want to say things like that. But we're gonna look back at this season, and it was an all-time. It was up there with some of the great Kobe, D Wade. Even like you look at 88 Jordan's stats, like Shea's stats were close to that. Like I'm not saying he's those guys, but the difference is, and this is what I was getting at, is can he do it again? And like those guys did it year in and year out. Can Shea do it again? And because what he's doing in the mid range is something we have not seen from a guard since Kobe Bryant.
Yeah.
Not at a high level. Like we had DeRozan, but DeRozan was never an MVP level player.
Right.
Like, we haven't seen this from a guard in 10, 12 years. It's been 12, 13 years since Kobe was really Kobe. And when you look at it too, in 2019, Kawhi Leonard won a championship as the best player on their team as like just a mid-range assassin. But even then, Kawhi is 6'8", one of the strongest players in the league. It's different to see a guard do it. We haven't seen it. And I think that we became so obsessed with the three-point analytics that people are just giving up good shots and opportunity because the name of the game is getting as many threes up as you possibly can. And I understand statistically that makes sense, but when you have a guy like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and now because the game is so spaced and he has just all the space in the world to cook in the mid-range, there are going to be more of those guys that if they're smart enough and they can do it in a way that's not completely clogging up their offense, that I think that Shea has captured that, and I wonder how we'll see guys start to do that again. Even with like the Dylan Harper, Cade Cunningham, those kind of guards that can really cook inside. I wonder if we see a little bit more of it from Devin Booker this year.
I was about to say that. Devin Booker's
I wonder, how
Ant
does
will
that
have a
change?
good part of it.
But Ant's one of those guys. Actually, he shot so
That's what I'm
many
saying.
threes this year. I wonder if he can start to that would be a next evolution. So Hunter, when you think about SGA and you think about Steph, do you think? Because me personally, when I think of the four components, I actually think this is the one that I think is almost neck and neck. Like if Shea can sustain what he's doing, he is a good enough player to carry a team to multiple finals appearances and the opportunity to win multiple finals if the other three components we have here are in place. I think those other three are tougher. I actually think Shea, the hardest thing to do in the NBA is get the superstar. And they've done that. He's a super duper star. He's one of the three best players in the league. So Hunter, do you think Shea has what it takes to be the best player on a team that wins multiple championships over a sustained amount of time?
Yeah, there's no weakness in his game. He's like a 6'6" point guard that can guard up to like the 3. He's a good passer. He's gonna get you 30 a night. Just like that's like the perfect player for staying good.
Yeah. Well, and I'll ask this, the thing that made the Warriors go from 67 win team to 73 win team, I think there were two things. We'll get to the second thing later, but largely in part, Steph made 286 threes in the 2014-15 season, it broke the record for the most threes ever in a single season, was 286. He led the league. He averaged 24 a game. In 2015-16, he made 402 threes. The previous record was in the 270s. Steph had already broken that. He broke his own record by almost 120 threes. He went from 24 points per game to 30 points per game. It's just insane. That was the thing that made that season so special. And I don't think that there's anything Shea can do to recreate that. Hunter, do you think there's anything?
No. The best thing he could do is up his assist numbers for a stat like that, because he's already at the 30 points. He's not upping that one.
I think he averaged like 32 this year, wasn't it?
Yeah, he's in the 30s already on points per game. He's not going to have that crazy leap, but if he can get his assist up from 5 or 6 to whatever it is to 8 or 9, that would be pretty close to that type of leap.
I think that's the answer too, Hunter, because this year he averaged 32, 5, and 6. That's what it's like, 32, 5, and 6. He's a good defender on a 68-win team. That's an all-time guard season, right? But if he goes from 32, 5, and 6 to 31, 5, and 8, you know, like he goes from like good passer and playmaker to like great top 5 distributor in the league. That's the only thing it could be. But I don't even think he needs to do that. But if he was going to take a leap like that, I think that's what it would be.
No, it's not. It's not a need. It's just if he took the leap, that's what it would be.
But I think we all agree that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, if he can sustain this for long enough, that we can look at an all-time great career. I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but if we talk about what is the peak of what the Thunder can be, I think Shai has all the goods to be the best player on a team that ends up being a dynasty in the NBA. Do we agree?
I don't even think it's getting ahead of ourselves, bro. You don't see stuff like what we saw from Shai, bro. Like you said, it's an all-time great guard, just season period. And I would even go a step further, saying like him upping his numbers. Maybe it's not this next year, but here in the next few years, if we're talking about OKC building a dynasty, right? Let's say he gets those numbers up to 31, 5, and 8 next year. I personally would like to see him be. I like to see OKC kind of adopt the Indiana style of play, where they're just pushing the pace a little bit more. So maybe Shai gets more aggressive on the rebounds. He starts averaging a triple-double here in a couple years. He gets his weight up a little bit. That would be another thing that kind of takes them to that next level, because they just paid these 3 guys, bro. They're not going to be able to keep everybody in that system that they got right now. I'm not going to get too far ahead right now because we're about to go into this, but he's gonna, that's something that I think he can do, bro, and I would love to see it for him. Kind of just get more aggressive, and his game's kind of more like that finesse, and But if he adds that element more so like in key moments, like that kind of Anthony Edwards factor, where it's just like in your face, because he had it, bro, because he hit I can't remember if they were playing the Lakers or the Warriors, but Shai hit it. He pulled a shot from the logo, and it was only like a 3-point game. Hit a shot from the logo, and he's going to the crowd talking. He was like, I'm him. So bring that kind of mentality back, bro. Which he got the dog in him, bro. It's different types of dogs out here. You can't just don't got to be that in your face guy, but kind of bring that cockiness back, bro. Like just bring that element to the game. The mental parts of this of that superstar leap is very important too, because Steph kind of got into that I'm him bag too when he was doing all this. It was no more like babyface assassin. He was out there talking to guys.
No, he was just an assassin, bro. That OKC game with that game winner from the logo.
Yep.
I will never forget that game, bro. That is one of those special. So I think for me, that's where I stand. I don't think there's much more on the box score that Shai could do, because we're talking like all-time great box score stats. I think what can happen is if he gets to that point where, like, if a game is within 2 or 3 in the last minute, to where you just know Shai is hitting the shot, like the game's over because Shai decided the game was over, that's that next step. And now that he's won, I actually think we're going to see a next step from him in that way from a confidence perspective. So, the first component to the DNA of a dynasty is the superstar, and especially the super duper star leap. Component number 2 is the secondary stars. And this is the one where I think, for me, is the most crucial piece for the Thunder to go from a championship team to oh my gosh, this team can actually they might string together 3 or 4 of these.
Yeah.
You know. And exactly. And so Hunter, I want you to think you had Steph Curry, and now I want you to start to think about Klay Thompson and Draymond Green with Jalen Williams and Chet Holmgren. For me right now, I don't think it's necessarily close. And the leap, I think, has to be between one of those guys. What do you think has to happen with Jalen Williams and Chet Holmgren to be able to produce in a similar way to Klay and Dre?
I think Jalen Williams is fine right now.
I would agree.
Even though Chet's an amazing defender, he's too weak for some of the big centers in the league. That's my main problem with this is you kind of always have to find that one player to fit his weakness. That's my one thing they got to get better at is finding a way to fix that.
Especially when you gotta beat Jokic.
Yeah, you can't have a center that can put him in the post.
Yeah, because he's an elite shot blocker, but he's not strong enough.
No, they'll just back him down to the paint.
Exactly. It's like the opposite of the Boogie Carl Towns meme.
Right.
It's like they're just going to bulldoze him. When I was looking through some basketball reference stuff, the thing that I think made the Warriors go from 67 win team, which is really, really good team, you'll kind of halfway mention them in the history books, to 73-9, the greatest regular season record of all time. Draymond Green went from defensive player of the year candidate and first team all defense player to he took a massive leap offensively in 2015-16. He went from averaging 11 to 14, which even that is not the big thing. There's 2 things. Draymond shot 39% from 3 that year, which he hasn't really done since. Draymond has not been able to shoot since. I don't know what happened. He shot 39% from 3. But he went from 3.7 assists a game to 7.5 assists a game. Draymond figured out how to be that point forward, point center on offense to complement who was an elite defender. And I think that's the similar jump that Chet Holmgren needs to make. We see all the flashes offensively. Like, you can see where it comes from. He has to figure out who he is. Offensively, if this team is going to become one of those all-time great teams, you know, that you mentioned with like the 85-86 Celtics and the 95-96 Bulls and the 2000-2001 Lakers and the 17-18 I got you, buddy. The 17-18 Warriors. You know, like those are the
team.
Who I forget.
What team do you think I would add, Alex?
Do you think the 15-16 Cavs are one of the 5 greatest teams of all time?
3-1 comeback. That says enough for that.
Hunter, so here's the thing. I was also thinking, I want to come back to this, but remember when Rich was talking about the Cavs, how they started this year? All I could think about was I really wanted to ask you how they ended. And I wasn't going to do that until you brought up the Cavs.
They ended up the same as yours, but they're not worried about next season like your team is. So what's
cute though, Hunter, is talk to me when
you're going to be in the play-in.
Talk to me.
You're going to be in the play-in. You're not even going to make the playoff.
No, it's cool, Hunter.
He's just a lot stronger this year, and your team's not going to be good.
My team's got a ring without LeBron.
That's in the past.
You got to dust yours off.
What's going to happen next year?
We're going to get AJ DeMonsa, bro. We're going to win the lottery.
No, you're not. You're not going to be that bad. You're not a lottery team. You were bottom playoffs.
All right, we'll figure. I don't. Who knows? I think Jaylen Brown's going to hurt his ankle. Wink, wink. And he's going to.
You're talking about your Alex. Now saying that's crazy. That's your own team.
Derek White. Derek White's going to get back spasms or something. He used to talk to Ben Simmons about whatever he was doing to not have to play basketball.
No, don't do that. It made him worse.
Get with Kylie Jenner. That's all you got to do.
Yeah, that's all you got to do, man. Just find a Jenner. Period. So, or a Kardashian. All right. I think that's Rich, don't you think? Like, I think Chet Holmgren. I think Jalen Williams is who he is. He's already made that leap, similar to Klay in 14-15. Klay became an all-NBA player. Draymond had to take a leap offensively. I think it's the same with Chet.
Yeah. It's not even much to add to what y'all said, bro. I think, like I keep saying, man, that if Chet, especially right now, while he's trying to build, kind of his frame, because he does need to get bigger. He can't be that. Even KD had to get a little, he had to get a little size on him. But if Chet can find a way to kind of finesse those guys that are trying to bully him in the paint and maybe pull the chair on a couple guys, you're not trying to post up,
Exactly. Yeah.
that kind of play style. And while he's trying to figure that out, like you said, he has to figure out who he wants to be. Not, I mean, he has his role on the team, obviously, but who do you want to be as Chet, not as the third scoring option on your team, but just as the player, Chet? Who is that? We know who J Dub is. He's gonna pick up the load offensively if was not often that this happens, or it doesn't even have to be that Shea's not feeling it. If J Dub's feeling it, they're going to feed him the ball. If he's going to get his bucket, Shea's going to kind of fall into that facilitator role.
Get downhill and transition with J Dub for sure. Yeah.
Shea is who he is. We kind of see Chet like, oh, he's hitting threes this game, or he's getting blocks this game. Are you going to be that every game, or are you going to be the block guy, or are you going to be a three guy, or are you going to be both, or are you going to be, locked down defender? Like, what are you going to do? He just has to show us consistency somewhere or everywhere for them, for him to take that next lead.
I think Chet, and this, I understand I'm the Celtics guy, and I'm about to name two Celtics when I give the different options for what Chet can be.
Yeah.
But I think looking at Chet offensively, if I were him, I would have a real hard, like a real long, hard conversation with myself about, am I a good enough shooter to be that Kristaps Porzingis kind of guy? And that's what I do for the offense. And he's a better ball handler, better playmaker already. But can he be a good enough shooter? Which he's shown flashes, but like we're talking like these are like all-time great shooters for big man.
Yeah.
I think Chet needs to capture his inner Al Horford. Like, I know what he can do as a passer, what he can do as a pick and pop guy. And Hunter, get out of here, bro. What do you want me to say? What do you want me to do?
I'll just
your ass.
He really is, bro. But here's like, what do you want me to say? What do you want me to do? Maybe here, how about this? A little Bam Adebayo offensively. Like what he does as a transition guy, as a passer, as a screener, but Chet's a way better shooter. Like, I think Chet as a playmaker is on dribble handoffs, pick and pop, and then we already see some of like the two-man game between him and Hartenstein, the two big passing between the two of them. But like if Chet can take his passing to another level, I think it opens up this offense in a way where Shea doesn't have to do everything.
Yeah.
Because right now, Shea has to do everything for them offensively for the most part.
Yeah, bro. But if he could even get to like a Tim Duncan bag, bro, back to the basket, find that little range. Post game. That's what I'm saying. Like Tim Duncan wasn't the strong. Of course, he could move some guys around. Tim Duncan wasn't no like pushover, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, it's the big fundamental though.
He wasn't Shaq though. He wasn't going in and dunking on guys like
Absolutely not.
He had that little hook shot that he actually missed against the Miami Heat in that one game, and that's kind of cost him the game. But I'm kind of hating on Tim Duncan right there because they beat the Lakers.
They beat everybody, bro. It just is what it is.
They did. But if he could just kind of add something like that, you don't have to be Giannis. You don't have to be Jokic is biggest guy on the court every time. He's not trying to. He's going to bag you down, but that's to get to his spots and find somebody that's open or get his little, finesse game. He's not the most athletic guy on the court. He's got to, figure out what he wants to add to his bag, bro. Something that's going to benefit the team.
That's what I think I don't think that when I say Chet needs to take, like, I want to see Chet hit a next level offensively, I don't necessarily think it's as an isolation scorer, but
they got
his ability... Exactly. So, but his ability to make plays for himself and others and be like this connective tissue as a passer, which is what Draymond figured out. Yeah. That's what made the Warriors so special. He's already one of the greatest defenders of all time. But when he also became one of the great passers in the league, and you had that kind of two-man game between Steph and Dre, where you could pick and pop, you get Draymond with the ball in the short roll, and it was either going to be an open three or a layup for somebody else. He didn't even need to score. Like, that's what I want to see more out of Chet, and you see glimpses of it. But I really think that, like, if he can really dial it in as a playmaker and just trust. I mean, he's got his bags. He doesn't need to worry about that anymore. So, like, who cares if he scores, 15, 16 points a game if he's getting you 5, 6 assists as a big man, 3 blocks a game, 10 rebounds. Like, I think that's where he can take this team to the next level, because that was the thing against the Pacers, where like they made that such a tough series. The Pacers could have beat them, and the conversation would be very different here.
Yeah.
Because the Pacers did everything they could to guard Shea and make anyone else beat them. And I mean, J-Dub has his 40-point game, and they won by 1 million. But other than that, like, these games were tough. That's why the Pacers were able to win 3 games. Because when Shea wasn't able to get to his spots, and when Shea was uncomfortable, their offense was stagnant. And they just need more from Chet. And if Chet can start to create open shots for himself and others, I think that's when this team can get really, really dangerous. And the conversation can get kind of insane. So that's component 2. Component 3. And this is my favorite one. This is last year when the Thunder traded Josh Giddey to get Alex Caruso, is when I felt like they finally made that switch from this is a cute team that's really good to they're going to win a championship in the next couple of years. And it reminded me of when the Warriors went out and got Andre Iguodala and Andrew Bogut. Like, the Thunder getting Caruso and Hartenstein, who were just perfect fits, reminded me so much of what Iggy and Bogut brought to this team. And if you're going to create a dynasty, you need those guys who can turn your superstars into leaders. Like, these guys didn't have to be locker room leaders. They didn't have to be the smartest guys on the team. They didn't have to be all those things, because they brought in vets who were going to be absolute professionals. And I think that's one of the reasons that the Thunder went from really good team to championship team. And so I just want to open it up. When we talk about the vets, what is it about this team and those specific vets on the team that make this Thunder team special?
I've been a fan of Alex Caruso. He was a Laker.
Oh, yeah, man.
He
got up on the Lakers too, bro.
I loved watching Alex Caruso, and that when he was on the team, even just having him kind of gives you hope of like, okay, we got somebody that not necessarily going to come and give us 30 points off the bench or nothing like that, but he is going to go guard the best player. He is going to get those hustle plays. He's going to get on the floor. He's going to get us extra possessions. Then you look at somebody like Hartenstein. I would like to see him kind of channel more. He didn't look as confident as he was in New York. Maybe that's because he didn't have as big of a role. Maybe that kind of shot his confidence a little bit. But I like to see him be more aggressive or more efficient, I should say, on his little, that little turnaround. He was hitting it, bro. But I'm saying, like, if you get 5, 6 shots a game, I need you to be hitting at least 4 of them a game. Like,
yeah, it was tough in the playoffs versus the regular season. He wasn't the same player.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. Like, postseason, just be that guy that's like, you know what you're gonna get from Al Horford, bro. Every game, he's gonna be in the corners. He's gonna get those plays that nobody is expecting him to get. So I'm like, with Isaiah Hartenstein, like I said, man, he just has to find a way to get that swag back that he had in New York. Especially when everybody found out he was black. I feel like that was an all-time high for him because he was just on top of the world.
It was like it was news breaking for Twitter, bro.
It was
like, internet breaking almost.
I mean, I saw it. I was like, oh, that's funny. But I watched the Pat Bev podcast and they were talking about it. It was just funny how everybody was making a big deal about it. NBA Twitter, they get crazy about just anything. But he was just riding off that confidence, bro. I just want to see him get back to it. That's all. But like I said,
I think he just starts to go by. He needs to start going by Zay. I think that'll change it.
Right, bro. Come on, like get something. Like get something back. Just get that.
You just gotta reinforce, man. Like let him know who you are, man.
He's still Isaiah Hartenstein because I was very excited. I was excited for Alex Caruso sign. Isaiah Hartenstein, like I think he was even more exciting for me just because of what he was able to do in New York and kind of put himself on the map just with his little bag in the post game. So
I'd like to see a little more from him offensively. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
But he was a good passer for them, but he didn't really have an opportunity because he was playing with Chet. I think they had some great two-man game stuff, but I like for him to get a couple more opportunities. Hunter, here's my question to you. This is the place where I think this falls apart. When we're able to compare the way the Warriors were able to build a dynasty 10 years ago and what the Thunder can do now, is the Warriors had the opposite of the second apron issue. Right? Is that in 16-17, which we'll talk about in one of the later episodes, the Warriors ended up they won 73 games and then had max cap space to sign one of the greatest players of all time in Kevin Durant. The Thunder have the opposite issue, is that in the future, they're going to have to let these vets go and fill their spots with rookies. Do you think that the stars are going to be good enough to be those vets on the in the locker room, or how do you think they're going to be able to keep those guys around as their team has to progressively get younger because they have to get cheaper?
I mean, I feel like they'll have to be a choice of one of Lou Dort, Caruso, or Hardenstein.
I
But
think
I
it's an
think
easy
they're
choice for me
fine.
personally.
It's got to be Lou Dort or Caruso, I think.
I think it's
But
Caruso. It's got to be Caruso.
yeah,
Just the
if you wanted to just
vet.
keep a little bit younger,
Yeah.
I would have went with Lou Dort though.
Yeah. But I think Caruso's going to be
But
cheaper.
but I mean, I think you're fine because even though you're getting these younger players, you can still trade for older players on those cheap contracts because you have 15 picks you're able to trade. So I think they're kind of built perfectly to avoid the second apron like difficulties that most teams will have, but I think their stars will be fine as leaders and they have enough to get good enough players to fit the roles that those two have.
Yeah, what's interesting is two of their best players are still not going to be 25 when they're going to have to be like real locker room vets. Like
Yeah,
Shea,
but
he's got it. We don't got to worry about him. But the question is, Chet and Jalen Williams, they're going to have to step into some of what Isaiah Hartenstein and Lou Dort do for the team, for the locker room, because they're going to have to let those guys go for financial purposes. That's just part of the game.
They've both seen that and they've both won the championship side of it too to know what they need to do in that role, I feel like. So,
yeah. I think if there's anything that's going to make this team go from really good team to dynasty, and that's going to break that, it is the second apron. And to be fair, that was the whole point of the second apron, is to make sure that we had no more Kevin Durant going to the Warriors.
Steph talked about that.
Yeah.
Not necessarily second apron, but he just mentioned how he just doesn't think there are going to be any more dynasties in the league after all that second apron stuff kind of came into fruition.
Yeah, I think they ruined it for the rest of them.
Definitely.
I think it hurt more than just the dynasty part. A big part of superstars, everyone wanted the loyal superstars.
Yeah.
It's making that harder to happen with how the money's working.
Yeah, but Shea's one of those guys. Shea had the opportunity to ask out when this team was bad. He's one of the few guys that didn't do it. It kind of reminds me of the Steph Curry conversation with the second apron and how, people just doubt there'll ever be another dynasty. I remember in middle school, in fourth grade, you got to go to Science City. Not middle school and elementary school. In fourth grade, you got to go to Science City. I remember I was in third grade, and they told us, they said, the fourth graders just went to Science City, and they were so bad that we're not going to let the fourth graders go to Science City anymore, so they ruined it for the rest of y'all.
That's how the stadium worked.
I was pissed. I was so pissed, man. I was like, next year,
right there,
Science City, it's going to be so sick. And I kind of feel like that's what the Warriors did. It's like, you guys had to win 73 games and then go get Kevin Durant. Like, now the whole CBA is going to be about making sure you can't exist ever again.
Should have just won the 73 in last season. We wouldn't even have to worry about no second.
Yeah, bro, if you would have just won. If you would have just won. Bro, if Adam Silver wouldn't have... If Adam Silver wouldn't have framed Draymond Green just so that he could get LeBron a ring in Cleveland, then this would have never happened. And so when you really think about it, this is LeBron's fault.
Bro, I just seen the video. They was talking about it can't always be LeBron's fault. They just talk about how people would blame LeBron for everything. It's just funny you said that.
It is though, bro. but it is.
A lot of this is LeBron's fault.
No, I think it's Jordan's fault for having a dynasty in the first place.
I mean,
Bulls team made him not want another dynasty. That's what I'm just thinking.
But just real quick,
Sorry, you're
shout out
blaming it on
Bron.
LeBron.
Shout out Bron for golfing.
Had to change it to Jordan.
Me and Bron started golfing in the same year. We have so many things alike. We're just so similar, bro. And I
Terrible
just
golf swings.
Reinforcing that. Hunter, I'm 10 times better at golf than you are, and I don't even want to talk about
That's
it.
not saying something. I'm not
Hunter,
good.
I gave you 9 strokes today. I gave you 9 strokes, and I still beat you. Over 9 holes,
okay.
by the way.
You got more experience.
Your dog
I gotta come out there with y'all saying.
You got to, bro. We'll make a little golfing video. We'll put it on the TikTok.
They don't want to see that.
Hey, I'm about to be all suited and booted.
They trying to.
I'll make a divot behind the
Get
ball.
my New Balances and long socks with stripes.
Man, oh come on, bro! Don't even get me started. I'll break out the overalls.
Oh yeah,
the little dress overalls, man.
No, you won't. No, you won't.
I'm gonna cut them things too. How little cheeks showing. No, I'm just kidding. But
I'm buying the bucket hat though. That's my new golf hat.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, Hunter, you need a bucket hat. I think it would make you play better, TBH. The last component, and this is the one that for me, I think is almost as much of a sure thing as the first one, is if you're gonna have a dynasty, you need elite infrastructure. And by that I mean from the coach, the front office, and the owner. I don't think there's any combination of coach, front office, and owner that is as good in the league right now as the Thunder.
There's no better GM.
No, same person, best GM in the league.
Easily,
Brad Stevens,
no
don't give me Brad Stevens.
He kind of did it. He kind of did it first.
No, he's been building this for 10 years since they had Russ.
He's been building this since 2007, bro.
That's what I'm saying. He's just
so what I'm saying is
kept
in 15,
this
20
going
years,
for so long.
Brad Stevens will probably, most likely, be the greatest GM of all time. That's all I'm saying.
No, it's gonna be Kobe Altman. But
shouts out Kobe Altman. Got an extension today. You know, his first thing as GM was one of the worst trades I've ever seen. Trading Kyrie for a bucket of.
It did the same for both teams, so I don't care.
He's just lucky that Kyrie blew up in Boston.
Okay, look. That was right after the good IT season, so I mean.
So here's my thought, and I think we agree here.
Shout out IT, by the way.
Shout out IT. That's my favorite season of basketball I've ever watched. I will never enjoy being a Celtics fan as much as I enjoyed the 16-17 season.
Not last
Isaiah
year?
Thomas. No, I don't. No, I loved it. I cried when they won. Don't get me wrong. But that Isaiah Thomas year was some of the most special stuff I've ever seen. Him giving a 50 ball in the playoffs after his sister passed, him losing his teeth, and ripping his hit. Come on, like this was. I will never enjoy watching basketball as much as I enjoy
doing this
watching
all
Isaiah
5'10", 5'11".
I just got while we talk about Isaiah Thomas, bro, and you know he had that whole thing with his sister and everything. It was like that at that moment, bro. I'm like, bro, I can make it to the league. Like, let me go get my stuff together. It was just such a special year.
It was special
for the short guys on the court, bro. I just loved.
He averaged 28, 29 a game.
Yeah, and I know he was on the Celtics and all. I'm a Lakers fan, but bro, as a basketball fan, forget the teams.
Oh,
that was some of my favorite basketball I've ever watched when IT was going crazy.
Yeah, that was just a bunch of guys that a lot of different teams had given up on.
Mm-hmm. That's what made it even more special.
Yeah, and they made it to the Eastern Conference Finals. They were going to get swept by LeBron. That was just part of the deal. that was just going to happen.
At some point, it becomes like he was just too small, bro. Man, it's unfortunate.
There was never I never thought the Celtics were going to make it to the finals. I was shocked when they made it in 2022, and I had to remind myself that LeBron wasn't in the East anymore. But I was just fully convinced anytime the Celtics were in the playoffs, they'll win until they play the Cavs.
Yeah,
and then I just have no faith. It was just who LeBron
left,
was.
And the Heat were the best team for a while.
Yeah, he just went to...
I think that said enough about the East.
So many straight finals. It was just insane. Yeah, I think when we think about OKC, can they be a dynasty? We're not just asking that for shits and gigs. The point we're trying to make is I see so many similarities in where the Warriors were 10 years ago and where the Thunder are. Down to Steph was in his 27-28 season. Shea's going into his 27-28 season. Clay and Draymond emerging as like legit stars. Chet and Jalen Williams being able to do the same thing. They have a super young team, but a couple of just really, really good and important vets. And then you have an elite coach, you have an elite GM. So we created these four components: the superstar, the secondary stars, the veteran foundation, and the infrastructure. And the only thing that's going to get in the way of this team winning a whole lot is the second apron. And if that's the case, at that point,
I don't
just nuke it.
Even
Next CBA.
Go ahead, Hunter. You
think
was
it's
about
gonna
to
get in
say
the
something.
way. I don't think it's gonna get in the way as it will for other teams that were good because of how good Sam Presti's done
If
at
any
getting
team
picks.
can do it, the Thunder can.
And I was about
But
to
even looking at it,
I was just about to get to that, bro. I was looking at, and I know we're gonna talk about this on another episode, bro. But I was looking at the 2022 Warriors roster when they they beat the Celtics.
It's okay, bro.
But that team wasn't like
I'll never forget that Steph game 4.
Bro, crazy. But
or Celtics were 2-1. That was terrible. He ripped my heart out of my chest.
You have to get that production from those three guys is what it comes down to. Clay, Steph, Draymond were the foundation of the Warriors. They were the Warriors. If you think Warriors, you're thinking that big three automatically. Which is, you're already doing that with the Thunder, but in terms of just like doing it again and doing it again and doing it again, they just have to be the foundation for their team no matter who else is in those other roster spots, whether they keep Lou Dort, whether they keep Alex Caruso. Whatever production they're getting from the guys or lack of production they're not getting from, or the lack of production they're getting from whoever, they have to be able to fill those holes themselves. If the Warriors needed something, Steph might drop a 50 ball that game. Clay might drop 37 in the quarter. Draymond might go off for 10 assists. You know what I'm saying? Like, they just have to pick up the pieces where it's needed to propel them into that dynasty category. It just is what it is.
If any team can do it, this team can.
Yeah.
Like, they've got everybody locked up. They've got 1 year where they can bring the whole squad back, and then they have 1 year where they're gonna have to get rid of a couple guys, but they've got so many picks. If they keep nailing the draft the way they have been, looks like they're going to again at Topic, which is a whole nother aspect we haven't even talked about. If any team can do it, they can. But the main thing I wanted to do is I wanted to point out just how special that Warriors season was. I don't think there's ever been a player that has been so captivating to watch as Steph was that season. Like, he just completely changed everything anyone knew about basketball, and it was special. And so that was one of just the many things that made that season special. Here in a couple weeks, we're going to come back and we're going to do a rewatch of Kobe's 60-point game, and we're going to talk about Kobe and the last season. This is going to be Rich's episode. And so I'm excited to watch that game with Hunter. Have you ever watched that game, Hunter?
Probably seen some of it. Seen some clips.
Rich and I watched the game that the Warriors, when they beat the record for 73-9, and this Kobe 60-point game at Buffalo Wild Wings in Lee Summit, bro. And I'll never forget the guy next to us. After Kobe got 40, he's like, why not go for 50? And then he gets 50. He says, why not go for 60? And then he said 70. I was like, he's not getting 70.
Right. This is like, okay. He was gassed. My boy, but he was gassed. Yeah. I'll never forget that game.
It was a special game. So we're going to rewatch that, and we're going to break it down here in 2 weeks. Next week, we're going to be back, and we're going to do another one of our drafts. We're going to talk most improved player. So we're going to do our draft for our awards. Most improved player. It's going to be
Jose Calderon.
Jose Calderon. Hey, man, be on the lookout for Baylor Shireman. I'm just saying he might get drafted. I'm hearing rumors that he might end up getting drafted in this draft next week. So, cool.
He's going first overall?
If the Cavs make the Eastern Conference Finals, maybe Donovan Mitchell could get most improved player.
He's already made All-NBA first team. I don't think he needs to get better.
Yeah, but he hasn't made the third round of the finals. That's all I was saying. That'd be a massive.
There's not 3 rounds of the finals, just so you know. There's only 1 round of the finals.
All right. This is the Trade Machine Podcast. We've been on here too long. We want to give love the 10-year anniversary to one of the greatest basketball seasons we've ever seen. And we've got a bunch of videos. We're going to do a rewatch of the Game 7 of the finals. and that's going to be Hunter's video. We're doing a rewatch of Kobe's last game. Like I said, that's going to be Rich's video. There really ain't much to watch about the Celtics, so we'll talk about that at another time. We can watch them
Jay Crowder?
we can watch them lose. Oh, we could watch the Celtics. We could watch the replay of Kelly Olynyk breaking Kevin Love's shoulder if we wanted to.
Bro, that made me hate.
Then we can, watch
I
the
still don't like it, bro.
3-1 comeback again, just
should.
to remind you.
As you should.
What pick did you have that year, Alex? How bad?
It wasn't great. I think that was the year they took. That might have been the year they took James Young. I don't even know.
I don't even know who that is.
There you go. So, all right. It's been fun. Let's keep this thing under an hour. This was a different type of episode, but it was fun. So, shout out to the Warriors for letting us watch some beautiful basketball. We got 2 of the top 5 shooters of all time on the same team with one of the unicorns of basketball and Draymond Green. There will never be a team like it.
Send this episode to Steph so he guest stars on our next
Yeah,
episode.
bros. We'll take Quinn Cook.
I will take Quinn Cook. Laker, he bubble championship.
Come on,
Get
bro.
him on
We'll
here.
take Quinn Cook.
Get him on here.
Who else would we? Pat McCall? I'll take Patrick McCall. Y'all remember him?
No.
Jordan Bell.
Ooh,
I had to
Jordan
see it.
Bell?
I had to see a picture of him. His name sounds familiar.
He played for him, and then he went to the Raptors afterwards. So he played a ton of finals games in like 4-year span, and then he was out the league. It was crazy. He was just a bench guard.
Oh, yeah, I know. Yeah. I'm looking at a picture of him, yeah.
All right, y'all. We'll see y'all next week. Bring it to Kansas City. Peace out.
Please.
Give him a